Hello viewers, you are watching International Wild. Kindly subscribe our channel and press the bell icon to get notification of the latest uploaded videos. Now more than a dozen convoys with Wagner Group mercenaries have already arrived in Belarus, with an estimated 3,000 to 5,000 people in the country. Officially, the task of the Wagner mercenaries is to train the Belarusian army. However, Lukashenko's statement suggests that they could be used for border provocations against countries on NATO's eastern flank. What purpose do Lukashenko's provocative statement have for the eastern flank, but also for Belarus itself? Following the failed Wagner Group mutiny in Russia, the redeployment of the mercenary outfit to Belarus is becoming more of a headache for Central and Eastern Europe. Now more armed Wagner fighters are moving toward the border with Poland. The Suwałki Gap borders Russia's exclave of Kaliningrad to the north, Belarus to the south. Experts and NATO officials have long warned that this area would be one of Putin's first targets. Maybe he should decide to expand the war in Ukraine to NATO member states. Poland experienced heightened migratory pressure on its border with Belarus in 2021 when thousands of migrants were trying to enter the country from Belarus. Fearing a second wave, Warsaw deployed additional military units to the area in question. In the meantime, Wagner mercenaries are staying in Belarus, and experts estimate that 5,000 of Provocations troops are stationed in the country, and while the threat of an attack is small, it still remains a possibility that dislocation began in mid-July after the Wagner Group surrendered the heavy equipment used in Ukraine to the Russian Defense Ministry. So far, 11 convoys with people and equipment have arrived in Belarus, among which buses, trucks predominate, but there was also an armored car. According to various specimens, there may already be 3,000 to 5,000 vagrancy fighters in Belarus, mainly those who fought in Ukraine. After the first convoys arrived, the mercenaries began training valuation operational troops and territorial defense. The training, mainly in battlefield survival, is taking place among other places on the nearby Polish border. On July 23 of this year, during a meeting with Vladimir Putin in St. Petersburg, Alexander Lukashenko said that the Wagner Group mercenary is located in Belarus, would very much like to take action against Poland, but he is preventing them from doing so. Putin added that Russia will respond if Poland takes aggressive steps against Belarus. The purpose of Lukashenko's and Putin's statement is to intimidate the Polish public and try to influence the Polish authorities to change their policy towards Belarus and Russia to a less confrontational one and stop supporting Ukraine. While it is unclear what equipment the Wagner Group have at their disposal, they are trained to use armaments used by the Evolution Armed Forces, and can easily be equipped with them by the Belarusian authorities if required. The question remains, however, what does and can Lukashenko himself use the wagons for? This also depends on who among them will be found in Belarus. Will they be former professional soldiers of the Russian army and officers of the Russian security apparatus who have chosen well-paid jobs in the PMC Wagner, or they will be criminals recruited from prisons fearing that the amnesty guarantee may be worthless? And how many will there actually be? The spectrum of options in this case is very wide. The most benign is to exploit them in the training of the Belarusian army, as Lukashenko officially declares. Wagners can be expected to be used for border provocations against Polish uniformed services, including the possible use of firearms or attempts to physically destroy the border. They may also be used to coordinate and command operations on the border. It can also not be ruled out that some of the mercenaries will infiltrate Poland and other countries of the mainly eastern flank, both illegally and, for example, on the basis of Belarusian passports, with the task to identify crucial infrastructure facilities. Some of them may also be prepared to carry out acts of sabotage on Polish territory. 100 of participants are found in groups which do not make any threat to Poland. They could be used for some provocations at Belarusian-Polish borders, so the main attention should be put on the border and uncircled to the civility corridor, because this is probably the most attractive. So direction for Wagner Group and for any provocations from the part of Belarusian and the Russian regimes with the Wagner Group, and at the moment They could do some provocation for some reconnaissance at the border, and the second option is then they will be trading or using this illegal migrants, which are taking the border from day to day on a daily basis, and they could either join them, either train them, either do both at the same time, and this could cause some problems for Polish bodyguards. Because one thing is to deal with illegal migrants, also very aggressive sometimes, and what the other issue is to deal with well-trained as professionals for prepared to do some several days, and other illegal externals. This is a message Lukashenko tries to send to the West and also to Poland, but there are some negotiations that today Lukashenko tried to inspect the western part of Belarus, and this could be used as also some sort of opportunity for some confidential talking on the situation that his aim is to make Polish side as a actual and factual governor of Belarus, and to have some sort of negotiations, because the situation for location with this Wagner Group is a real Ferdinand in the Wagner Group is more threat to location than to the neighbors at the moment. Wagner Group soldiers are professionals, and they are more prepared than Belarusian army or police for some military actions, and we see it right now. In Niger, we see that there is one more riot in Central African countries. Some role has been played by Russian side and the Wagner Group in particular area, so that the same scenario is highly likely could be applied in Belarus. The real situation is that Wagner Group is that who controls from the day of their relation to Belarus. There are several thousands of Wagner Group soldiers. But they don't represent any threat to neighbors. But it's a threat to location regime, because neither his army neither his police would do anything about them. If situation changes, and they are quite specialized in such things like internal rights and overflowing of leaders of particular countries. It's Mr. Putin who won this game at the moment, because Lukashenko himself created a legal basis. In regards with Belarus, he created a legal ground, he invited professional soldiers to Belarus which are not controlled by location. At the same time, Mr. Prigozhin told several times that he keeps loyal to Mr. Putin. It's Wagner Group and Mr. Putin who now is in the control of the situation in Belarus. Wagner Group is spread for Putin, and now he has common interest with a position to get rid of Wagner Group, so there is some room for some confidential contact with a position on this issue, but that location will try to engage in dialogue with Western countries rather than opposition. Even on this issue, because he tries to negotiate with some parties which he thinks are really in control of anything. From his point of view, doesn't control anything neither in the country nor the abroad. He will try to use his favorite tree. Wagner Group is also one more argument to make Western countries, especially Poland, to enter some negotiation process with him. There are some rumors that in April of this year, there were some negotiations in Wisefully with representatives of Western countries, and probably also of Ukraine. Now, location is in the western part of endorsing country without any significant reason. They waits until somebody calls him and he will try to make some deal, but to have some talks, because now he is in quite difficult situation, but he is the only person who could be blamed of that.